If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Shalom, and welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards becoming a harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I appreciate every last one of you coming by here on today on this live premiere, and also those who will be joining on the replay. Everyone is greatly appreciated. So I hope you are ready to join this family who does not mind searching the scriptures, this family who does not mind challenging the religious systems that we've been under for many, many years, hundreds of years, a family that is open to being a lifetime study of the Bible. It's very easy to join this family. You just hit that subscribe button and the bell to let you know when I'm live, know when there's a video that's been uploaded or anything like that. So that's the reason for the bell. And this is the way that you support this ministry. We're not asking for any money. We're just asking for your support by hitting that subscribe button, bell, comment, and sharing these live premieres. And when you're watching this on the replay, when you're learning something, share it with someone else so they can learn also. I want to remind everyone today that we are still in the week of unleavened bread. The week unleavened bread feast is still going on. I think we have about 2 days left. And I believe that means there's another double Sabbath. So just keep that in mind. Hope you had a chance to have that time off. Not, I'm going to continue to pray. You continue to pray for better opportunities to honor the Sabbath the way we should. I hope that you have your Bible in front of you because, of course, you cannot test what I'm saying. You cannot join in with the reading of the word without the Bible in front of you. Have a pen and paper, all the writing utensils that you need on today. If you hear any noise background, that's because my fan is on again. So we always begin with the recap. So last week was about Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, who quickly got an answer to his prayer. So he was on a mission to go find Isaac a wife. So he was quickly praying. He was praying about the journey that he was on to Yehovah, the God of Abraham. And so he got a prayer answered. It was so quick that before he could finish the words out of his heart, Rebecca was coming up. Now, Rebecca gave him water, gave his camel water, and all the camels. So just keep this in mind. There was a caravan with Eliezer. He was not alone. And eventually we'll see that as we continue in this chapter. But we have to remember he's brought 10 camels with him. So she gave Eliezer some water. She gave the camels some water. And just imagine how much water the camels were drinking. So let's just keep that in mind. He was not by himself. Now we're going to finish Genesis chapter 24. We had to split that in half. That is a huge chapter. So I'm going to grab my Bible. Genesis 24, we're on verse 24. That's where we're going to start with. And just remind you, last week, she finished again feeding the camel and giving the camel water. And he asked her who she was. And this is where we're going to pick up off. Verse 24. And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bare to Nahor. And again, she said to him, we have plenty of both straw and feed and room to lodge in. The man bowed low and worshiped Yehovah. He didn't worship her. He didn't worship anyone else, but he bowed low and worshiped Yehovah for a quickly answered prayer. And he said, blessed be the Yehovah of Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me, Yehovah has guided me in the way to the house of my master's brother. So again, this prayer was answered very quickly. And we know that she was happy about this visit herself. She was aware of the gifts, what those gifts were about. Because remember, he gave her some earrings and some bracelets that were gold. She knew this was an engagement, in other words. So she was aware of the gift. So, and I believe she was fully aware of Abraham, because who doesn't know about the rich uncle that you don't see? And I just wanted to remind us that her family wasn't poor. She had a wealthy family. Just imagine, they had enough straw and they had enough room to lodge all 10 of the camels. So that will let you know that her family, their household, was not poor. So just keep that in mind. Verse 29. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran outside to the man at the spring. And it came about that when he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrist, and when he heard the words of Rebekah, his sister, saying, "This is what the man said to me," and he went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. And he said, come in, blessed of Yehovah. Why do you stand outside, since I have prepared the house and the place for the camels? So the man entered the house. Then Laban unloaded the camels and gave straw and feed to the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. But when the food was set before him to eat, he said, "I will not eat until I have told my business." And he said, "Speak on." So Laban is aware that Rebecca had these earrings and these bracelets, so he knew exactly what this meant himself. So he didn't waste any time trying to figure out really what was going on. He said, "Come on in." And so what we also see is that he gave the men, because there was more than Eleazar, hospitality by washing of their feet. Now, unfortunately, many denomination religious system has this hospitality has turned into communion. And I'm not for sure where that came from, when that started, but this is how we do in the Christian denomination, non-denominational religious systems. That is now communion, when it's actually a hospitality thing, because people walked in the sand. Now we saw that Abraham, um, since Abraham prayed for the angel to help him get where he needs to go to. Now, the feet washing, when we first read about it, it was when Abraham, when the angels came and they on their way to Sodom, and he stopped by with Yehovah, and he washed their feet. That's the first time we've seen the feet washing hospitality in the Bible. Again, this had became what we call communion in the religious system. Now, Eleazar refused to eat because he has to tell his business. He was on the mission. He stayed focused. He didn't want nothing to stop him, because he most definitely was on the mission. And we're going to go on to verse number 34. So he said, "I am Abraham's servant, and Yehovah has greatly blessed my master." So now he's talking about how blessed Abraham is, so that he has become rich, and he has given him flocks, herds, silver, and gold, and servants, and maids, and camels, and donkeys. Now Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master in her old age, and he has given him all that he has. So now he's saying that Isaac has inherited what Abraham had. And the sister and my master made me swear, saying, you should not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I live. So he has to understand, he has to tell them why he traveled so far for a wife. And so he's letting them know, my master did not want his son to marry any of the Canaanites. But you should go to my father's house and to my relatives and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, suppose the woman does not follow me. And he said to me, Yehovah before whom I have walked and will send his angel with you to make your journey successful. You and will take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my relatives, and if they do not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. So you're free if she does not want to come with. So come with you, and we read that in the earlier verses. So I come today to the spring and said, Yehovah, O Yehovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, if now thou wilt make my journey of which I go successful. Behold, I am standing by the spring, and may be that the maiden who comes out to draw, and to whom I say, please let me drink a little water from your jar. And she will say to me, you drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom Yehovah has appointed to be my master's son. Before I finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her jar and her jar on her shoulder, and went down to the spring and drew. And I said to her, please let me drink. And she quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will water your camels also. So I drank, and she watered the camels also. Then I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethel, Nahor's son, whom Micah bore to him. And I put the ring on her nose. So this is a little bit more information. The ring on her nose. What we read previously was the ring in her ear and the bracelet on her wrist. And I bowed low and worshiped Yehovah and blessed Yehovah Elohim of my master Abraham, who had guided me in the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. So now, if you're going to deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me. If not, let me know that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the matter comes from Yehovah, so we cannot speak to you bad or good. Now, this is the first time we read that Laban and Bethuel. Now, this is the father. So Eliezer specifically wanted the family to understand that this is the family that he's looking for. This is Rebecca. Now, if you're gonna let me go and let her go, then let her go. And they were not trying to stand in the way, or did they? We will find that out. I also want you to notice we got a little bit more information when he was telling the story to the brother and the father, because we included a nose ring, which we didn't read previously. And so this is important to understand. So let me explain something. Someone asked me why I don't put titles along with the chapter when there's a teaching. I just put the chapter in there. And so I'm going to explain to you the very reason why I don't do that. The very reason why I don't do that is because when we put titles, which the Bible that we have today already put titles on there. And then we know when we have a title, that's like they're pointing out the main point to you. And when you read with that main point in your mind, you will skip over the details that is needed. So again, Laban and Bethel, the father, both says she can go. They're not going to stand in the way of Yehovah. And so, verse 52 that we're on. And it came about when Abraham's servant heard their words that he bowed himself to the ground before Yehovah. And the servant brought out articles of silver and articles of gold and garments, and he gave them to Rebekah. Again, he's bringing out more gifts to the family, to actually to Rebekah, and then of course, and things to her brother and to her mother. I want to point it out, to her brother, so keep that in mind. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent a night. And when they rose in the morning, he said, "Send me away to my master." But her brother and her mother again said, "Let the girl stay with us a few days, say about 10 days. Stay here for about 10 days afterward, and she may go to my master." No, she may go. And he said to them, "Do not delay me, since Yehovah has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master." And they said, "We will call the girl and consult her wishes." Then they called Rebekah and said to her, "Will you go with this man?" And she said, "I will go." Then they sent away their sister Rebekah and her nurse with Abraham's servant and his men, and they blessed Rebekah and said to her. Now, before we go any further, so this is the next morning. Rebekah's family, well, the brother and the mother, did not want her to go, want her to stay 10 days. And I'm not for sure why they wanted him to stay 10 days. The Bible doesn't give us the information. I don't know if this was 10 days of celebration that she's leaving. You know, I guess today we would call it a bridal shower, or those type of things. But they wanted 10 days to think about this. Now we do notice so far that Bethel, her father, is not making the deals. The brother is making the deal. The mother is making the deal. The father is nowhere in here making the deal. It's important to understand that. So the family was able to not only give Rebekah to leave because she said she was going to go, she's also was given female attendants, servants, and mounted her on the camels, and then they most definitely departed. And then they said to Rebekah, verse 60, and said to her, May you, our sister, become thousands of 10,000s. We know that comes to pass. And may your descendants possess the gate of those who hate them. 61, then Rebekah arose with her maids, and they mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Now Isaac had come from going to Beer Laharo, for he was living in the cave. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward the evening. So what we have is Isaac taking time out to meditate and to pray. What we consider meditation is praying. Toward the evening, and lift up his eyes and look, behold, camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel, and she said to the servant, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" And the servant said, "This is the master." And she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother's tent. Before we go any further, this is the first time we read in the Bible that a woman is using a veil. Now, this veil for Rebecca, representing her modesty in here, but not in every place that we read in the Bible that represent modesty. And I believe there was one more place, if I can remember, it doesn't represent modesty. It is actually the opposite. So this is again the first place that we had read about the veil of covered. She covered her face. Now Eleazar took the time out to tell Isaac where he been, all about his journey, and gave him the information that this is why he was gone. And so now I'm going to read story 67 again. Then Isaac brought her into his mother, Sarah's tent. So I find this fascinating that Sarah's tent wasn't taken down. Was Isaac in that level of grief that he wasn't able to let his mother go? And is this why Abraham moved forward with getting a wife for his son? Because he didn't take the tent down. He actually took Rebecca into his mother tent. So he was having, it sounds like he was having a difficult time letting his mother go. And so, and he took Rebecca and she became his wife and he loved her. Thus, Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So if Isaac was having a hard time letting his mother go, which means that Abraham had a hard time moving on with his life because his son was in so much pain. So the wisdom that he used to be able to get a wife to comfort him was important, because when you lose someone in your life and you're by yourself, that's is very difficult. But to have that support, that emotional support, someone special in your life to help you get through that grieving process is highly important. This is what we see here with Isaac and Rebecca and Abraham that's going on here. So we also, next week, we will see how Abraham was able to move on once his son was able to move on. Again, we have Isaac and Rebecca getting married. We know Ishmael is married. Both of these young men were of the bloodline of Abraham. I don't want us to forget that Ishmael was from the bloodline of Abraham. A lot of people just put Ishmael to the side, but he was of Abraham's bloodline. We cannot forget that. So if you have any questions or comments, I forgot to put that up earlier. This is the time to do that. But I want to remind you again, Saturday on a Sabbath day, we are on episode 10 of What You Should Talk. Again, I stay away from those additional titles most of the time because I don't want a pre-perceived thought that prevents you from getting the details from reading the word. Because many times, I'm pretty sure we all read Genesis 24 plenty of times and did not pay attention that there was a caravan, that there were men with Eleazar, that their feet were washed, that he gave a nose ring, earring, bracelets, articles of other things to Rebecca and to the family. Nor many miss out that her father was presented with Laban, who said, "Go ahead, let us not go against the Lord." So those are details that we miss when we have those titles because we focus on the main idea from that title. So I'm glad that we understand that now. And don't forget again to join me on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. for What You Should Have Taught. And I will see you next Tuesday. Again, next Tuesday, we're going to move on and we should be in Genesis chapter 24. You're welcome to ask questions, comment, and share even on the replay. And don't forget to do those things. So as always, Man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah. Have a blessed rest of the week. And don't forget, we still have 2 days left for unleavened bread. And don't forget to continue to eat your unleavened bread until then.